car choices are built out of childhood dreams. For many, what's under the hood is more important than what's above it. For others, luxury and style dominate their choices more than fuel efficiency. But for all, there is something alluring about the color red. There is something sensual about the color red. And yet, there is something completely dangerous about that color in cars. Welcome to Redline, the program that gives you advice, features, and stats on all new cars, especially if they're red ones. On this issue of Redline, we give you the stats on the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E SUV. This week on Redline, we asked the question, is Ford's iconic pony, the Mustang, getting a much-needed facelift? On episode number 1, we discussed the features, powertrain, as well as the safety and reliability of Ford's Mustang Mach-E. The Mustang Mach-E is an all-wheel drive compact SUV. Let's get started, shall we? The Mach-E is Ford's first all-electric crossover vehicle, and one that was built from the ground up. It has been quite a while since Ford's first attempt at making electric vehicles, and in this one, they would set the bar higher for American models to follow. The Mach-E has a 0 to 60 speed that will push you back in your seat comfortably at 3.5 seconds, and a base price that will push your wallet back about $42,895. But that price is slightly offset by the federal tax credit for purchasing an electric vehicle. Mach-E dealerships handle all of the paperwork for the government's electric vehicle tax credit. This credit applies for all electric and plug-in hybrid cars purchased new in or after 2010, and they may be eligible for a federal income tax credit of up to $7,500. The credit amount will vary based on the capacity of the battery used to power the vehicle. State and or local incentives may also apply. But I do not believe that this price point will be a setback for the new Mach-E. For upwards of 50,000 people have already placed advanced reservations for the vehicle with a deposit. The new 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E is an electric 4-door battery-powered vehicle in SUV class. Now, the Mach-E will not replace the existing current models of the Mustang, but it will no doubt bolster its legendary lineup from as far back as the 1968 Mustang GT that Mr. Steve McQueen drove in the classic car chase from the movie Bullitt. But most unfortunately, Ford has announced that it will, on the other hand, end production of the Mustang Shelby GT350 and the comparable GT350R this fall. But for those power hogs that crave more, get up and go. The Mach-E GT will get a larger front end and rear motor for a total output of 459 horsepower and 612 pound-feet of torque, which should get the car to 60 miles per hour in about 3.5 seconds with one electric motor at each axle. The Mach-E is expected to come in 4 different models to include the Select model, the California Right model, which is 108 city and 94 miles on the highway, the Premium model with 100 city, 86 highway mileage, and the GT models. We'll talk about price points of these models in a bit. Now, all in all, I would have to say that the Mustang Mach-E is a worthy competitor with somewhat more aggressive styling than the Tesla's Model Y and a more luxurious and spacious interior. The Mach-E name is inspired by the Mach 1 variant of the first generation Mustang. The Mustang Mach-E is built on a GE1 platform, or the Global Electrified 1, which is a heavily reworked version of the C2 platform that is used on the 4th generation Focus and the 3rd generation Kuga and 4th generation Escape vehicles. Truly, the Mach-E's newly minted version from the ground up is worth the test drive, especially with the advantage of the federal tax credit in a tight credit pandemic market. This car offers good value for the money and is an appealing option for those who just aren't blown away by the Tesla's mystique. It's an important milestone for automakers considering the Mach-E is Ford's first vehicle built from the ground up to be electric. Now, while deliveries started last year, the automaker only delivered a limited number of vehicles, and it is expected now to start ramping up deliveries for 2021. Most notably, features that will get your attention on this vehicle are the 19-inch wheels, and they are beefy. The 10, count them 10 speakers from the Band and Olufsen sound system. The at-the-ceiling panoramic sunroof, a great invention, but some have cause to concern and complain with the direct sunlight during the hot summer months. If you have no experience in driving an electric vehicle, you would not know that air conditioning is a definite drain on battery life. Could this sunroof be a drain on that battery life? The Mach-E comes standard with a power lift gate in the rear. The designer wheel package can be upgraded with several different type styles, and the aftermarket editions are sure to make your friends turn their heads and ask, what kind of car is this anyway? Now, in choosing whichever price point you choose to enter this pony vehicle, you can go from a rear-wheel drive configuration to an all-wheel drive for an additional $2,700. Since the Mach-E is a purist electric vehicle at heart, you lose the growl of the traditional Mustang 5.0 V8 engine. But not to worry. Ford has designed an acoustic system that you can engage if you want the artificial feel of driving a V8 engine. Now, let's talk about the Mach-E creature comforts. If you are a tall person, like myself, you usually worry about rear room seating and leg capacity, as well as headroom. But in the Ford Mach-E, both of these concerns were addressed. Because of this, the average height to slightly taller person would find rear seating space aplenty. The back seat has plenty of head and legroom, and with the transmission hump removed from the center, the rear space has plenty of legroom for the middle passenger. There are dual USB charging ports for the rear passengers, along with a center armrest that conveniently contains 2 cup holders. Who can do without cup holders, right? We need cup holders for those long road trips in which we're going to pass fast food after fast food. And how many of us can attest to the fact of having children in the back seat asking, are we there yet? The USB ports in the rear will allow the little ones plenty of power for video games, music, and telephone. At the outside rear of the vehicle, you have the Mustang's traditional design of the 3-bar taillight configuration that's been with us for a long time. For rear storage, you have the ample room of a car of its class. With seats up in the rear, you have 29 cubic feet of storage space. This all behind the liftgate. But if you drop those 2 rear seats and they remain flat, you double that space to a whopping 58 cubic feet of storage space. In the front cabin of the vehicle, the driver has a maximum of 15.5 inches of display screen towards the center console. The driver's heads-up instrument cluster was reduced in order to give him only the essentials: the speed of the car, its battery life, and which gear the car is in, to name just a few. The bulk of the vehicle's information and navigational aids are in that large center screen. On that screen, if you click on the Mach-E vehicle logo to the left, you have to it the Engage mode. The Engage mode uses the most power. Then you have what's called the Whisper mode. That uses strictly electric. You have a car coach in the setup menu that can help you save battery power if you heed its advice. But first, you must heed its advice. It has adaptive cruise control and lane centering, rear view camera, blind spot information assist, cross traffic for those people backing up who don't want to hit somebody coming from the side. It has auto hold to hold the vehicle still after you come to a complete stop, so no more holding your foot on the brake. The car will additionally learn your driving habits to maximize battery life. This all-electric vehicle features all of the creature comforts that most car enthusiasts have come to love. You know, those critical things we need, the things we can't do without, such as heated seats and heated steering wheel. Now, stereo speakers work with your phone hookup, and stereo volume on the lever to the right of the steering column. Cruise control on the left side of the steering wheel. 3-seat adjustment on the driver's door. Rear window adjustment and one switch door open. Now, the Mach-E comes standard with AM/FM radio and Sirius satellite radio. Now, a lot of people ask, but is it a self-driving vehicle? They want to know this. Let me allay you then. Ford's all-electric Mustang Mach-E will have a hands-free driving mode option to compete with Tesla's autopilot. The system uses an infrared camera to track the driver's eye gaze and head position to make sure they are watching the road ahead. On the outside of the Mach-E, you can only gain entry with a snazzy button release, a little black button in the front door and the back door. In the front of the vehicle, you have a front trunk where the engine would normally be if that was in a normal car. Now, Ford decided on calling this new space a frunk, as in a front trunk. The frunk has a drain plug in it and is water resistant. This means that you can fill that bad boy up with ice if you like, and have a tailgate party at your favorite game with your buddies. The Mach-E's onboard battery storage capacity can be rapidly charged from around 10% to a good 90% in about an hour. The all-wheel drive version has a big motor and a power to the rear wheels and a smaller motor in the front for increased torque power. The Ford Mach-E competes in its class with the Audi E-Pace, the Tesla Model Y, and the Jaguar I-Pace vehicles. The Mach-E will debut 4 vehicles to include the California Route 1, the Premium, and GT editions, as well as the Standard. This vehicle also comes in a police cruiser configuration for local governments that are trying to cut back on fuel and the use of maintenance. The Mach-E's manufacturer's suggested retail price for the base model is $42,895. But as I said at the opening, the Mach-E is eligible for a $7,500 federal tax credit. The vehicle's manufacturer is the Ford Motor Company China Division, or the Chang'an Ford Division. Chang'an Ford is an automotive manufacturing company headquarters in Chongqing, China, which shares its borders with the provinces of Hubei and Hunan. Now, this company did a 50-50 joint venture between Chang'an Automotive and the Ford Motor Company. Now, let's talk about how heavy the vehicle is. The actual curb weight of this latest model is a whopping 4,395 to 4,920 pounds, which is actually heavier than a 2011 Dodge Dakota pickup truck, which weighed at the time 4,211 pounds to 4,681 pounds. But not to worry, this weight helps to stabilize the car for a smooth ride on rough and unpaved roads. And since the Mach-E was designed to be an SUV with its tuned suspension and handling, it can take those off-road trips, snowy drifts, as well as crazy weather conditions. Which brings us to how long will that battery life last while you're out there doing donuts in the middle of a snowy parking lot in the Pacific Northwest. When we compare this vehicle mileage to a gas-burning competitor, we find that it gets up to 108 for city driving and 94 miles for the highway. The vehicle range on a full charger battery life is 210 to 300 miles. Now, these numbers are impressive as compared to early models of electric vehicles because you would not be able to attain that distance. So as manufacturers really try and push the envelope on what these cars will deliver on one set of battery life. And here's a neat feature. For those who worry about the dreaded feature of how to charge their electric vehicles, did you know that for most electric vehicles today, you can purchase a home charger kit? The charger kit for the Mach-E is available on Amazon.com, which is backed by its partnership with the Ford Motor Company, for a cost of $750. Now that's pretty reasonable. This is not really expensive as far as a charger for a new model. Now, Let's talk about overall size of the Mach-E. The Mach-E's dimensions are 186 inches long or 15.5 feet long by 63 inches high or 5 feet and a quarter feet tall. The configuration difference in price for all models is the Select model from $42,895, the Premium model for $47,000, and the California Route 1 model at $49,800. Now what about speed? Although this latest electric vehicle carries the Mustang badge, very few people will confuse the gas version vehicle of this automobile with the Mach-E. In fact, for some, there's been contention with even calling this vehicle a Mustang. But how fast is the Mach-E? The top speed is limited to 200 kilometers per hour or 124 miles per hour. That latter combination creates all-wheel drive and on the sporty GT and GT Performance models. The motors combine to make 480 horsepower and up to 634 pound-feet of torque. Ford claims this will send a Mach-E GT Performance from 0 to 60 in just under 3.5 seconds. Now, instead, the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E SUV earns its Mustang moniker now thanks to impressive horsepower and torque ratings, which are as follows: 266 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque for standard range rear-wheel drive models. That's amazing. Now, the braking in this vehicle is different than a traditional gas engine configuration, as many test drivers will attest. The braking distance from 60 to 0 miles per hour is between 109 to 118 feet. That's a little bit extra distance. The vehicle boasts a quiet cabin at speeds and road conditions that some of its earlier lineups couldn't match. The car, as graceful as it lacks the V8 of the gas engine and the growl that the Mustang owners once had, have come to expect. But overall, this to me is one great vehicle. We thank you for watching the first issue of Redline this morning. Tune in next week when we review the Lexus 2021 IS model in red. See you next week.